Hello and welcome to the Atlantic Sim Racing League. We are back for our final round of this summer series, round 10, at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. With qualifying starting at 9:30, we're going to see some cars on the track real soon. Tonight, it's just me in the booth here. Thomas seems to not be joining us tonight, but we're going to go with it anyway. In the driver standings, in the GT3 class, Nate Campbell leads with Tristan Richard tight on his heels. In the GR86 class, we see Adam Benoit with a whopping lead, and Mike Postma and Tim O'Connor fighting for that second position. Track is quiet right now as we're getting ready for first qualifying laps here. We're seeing, and actually I just went over the GR86 standings, but those might be set in stone. We're seeing Adam Benoit and Mike Postma at the this middle of the GT3 pack here.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, so actually, a change in plans. We're seeing Thomas join us here right now.
Yeah, that was completely my fault. It was previously the pace car. I always thought I got confused, right? I thought, my brain does this sometimes. Race starts normally at 2 o'clock. Instinctively, my brain goes, right, that's my broadcast. But no, I don't know. Anyway, we're here. That's the important thing. We've got a really good GT3 field here. We've got a really good GR86 class field as well. So a really nice chance to end the season with some action. In fact, we've got a brand new livery repping the Moser. It is Nicholas Munn this week. It's great to see him.
What's truly Toby Grant? I'm not sure if he's out of the pits quite yet. He's repping a New Brunswick themed livery.
Oh, that is brilliant.
My favorite of the year.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of liveries based on the actual the areas of the Canadian Maritime, but it's great to see we're getting that. I love actually it looks lovely, doesn't it?
It really caught my eye right off the bat.
Absolutely. I think am I right in saying Toby's new here? I haven't seen
Toby is new, yeah. We just saw him in the chat earlier, and now he's out on the track here, so we're excited to have him join us.
Yeah. Speaking of chat, if Golden Eagle, if you are there, say hi. You've been a brilliant supporter across the season, and we hope by the start of the next season at least that your brake pedals woes will be solved and you can use that middle pedal again. You've been using the clutch pedal, of course, for those who are unaware of the law. But here is Toby Grant then, as we've got Nico Grinham in chat actually, who is managed to get it home for the race. He's on vacation all week, comes home for the season finale, and 1 second off the pace, but that's absolutely fine, mate. No worries. I mean, I'm going into the Road America 6 hours. It's another chance for me to tell you about my endurance racing mishaps. Going into the Road America 6 hours tomorrow with basically no practice. I'm using the Ferrari 499P, and I did a couple of races this afternoon, but that's it. I have got very little practice for that one, but yeah, I'll let you know when we come back for season 2, I guess. We've got Nate Campbell here. We've got Cameron French back actually after a couple of weeks in the Lamborghini. Good to see him back. looks like it's a bunch of familiar faces. We've got a few new guys actually. Mike Postma, interestingly enough, making the move up to GT3 for the first time, Nick.
As well as Adam Benoit. They decided that they would battle it out in the upper class for the final race of the season. I believe their standings are pretty set in stone, so should be exciting to see. We saw in practice Adam Benoit take pole position.
Yeah. I mean, Benoit seems to have the pace whenever he rides them because, of course, he's been dominant in the GR86 Cup class. He, of course, essentially has such a points buffer in that class that he's chosen to run in GT3 this week. Why not? Give it a go. See if you can challenge. Every week we come on here and we're like, who's challenging Nate Campbell this week? And maybe Adam Benoit might be the man. He's already sealed his class championship title here on the Summer Series at the Atlantic Sim Racing League, and absolutely entitled to give GT3 a go. But I mean, what that does do, of course, is it opens up the field because both Postma and Benoit are in GT3 rather than GR86, which gives us an opportunity to kind of give the guys who would normally be somewhat overshadowed by the battles that we've seen in the past from those two. So, do you have any ideas of who we might be seeing at the top step of the podium?
You know, I'm not sure. We've seen very consistent stuff out of Tristan and James, both at the bottom of our list here. And Nicholas Munn as well, who took that race win 3 rounds back now.
Yeah. It'll be an interesting class to follow nonetheless, because I think if I've done my maths right, it'll be a guaranteed new victor in that class this week in the season finale. Indeed, Nico in the chat, Adam and Mike had great pace in practice in the GT3s. So we'll have to wait and see what that translates to in terms of the race. The GR86 class have 3 minutes yet to run, so the GT3 is not quite being released onto Spa, and I'm getting quite a warm feeling actually because it reminds me of being at the track for the 24-hour race just last month, and it was very much that Spa has a very unique vibe at sunset. And the one thing I always say is that with these racetracks, or at least have been said since I've come back from Spa, is I noticed immediately they have how well they modelled the walkways and everything. Like they're not just modelling the track, of course, they're modelling all the paths and everything that you'd use to walk around the track and how lifelike it is. And
All of
yeah,
your
that
blades of grass are perfect, hey?
oh, absolutely, always the blades of grass. They are brilliant, and they're also quite good at cooling your tires down as well. So they're useful for the drivers as well. Although I don't think we'll be seeing the iRacing esports strat, as it's known, in use this week.
And Toby Grant there, our newcomer, with the fastest lap so far.
Yeah, indeed. Timing isn't quite telling me what that lap time is, but I'm sure we'll get that sorted. What we do know is he's got a 2/10 advantage over Nicholas Munn. There we go. Timing is showing us that he's gone on a 2:48.6, pretty much, so it's a 5:99 officially. So 2/10 of an advantage over Nicholas Munn. So that's kind of the guys who we might expect to see at the front of the field. Here is the well, there was the new man in Toby Grant. Nicholas Mudd has actually just gone faster by a couple of tenths. In fact, he's actually gone so fast, he's broken the 47-second barrier. It's a 47.8 then for Nicholas Munn. So 7 tenths to the good of Toby Grant as Jeremy Mazzarale will cross the line to go P2. And here's James Barrington up to start his final lap, the Kiwi, entering a good bus stop. Good exit needed here, but he certainly could do it. He's on a 250.8 at the moment. Does he improve? He does. Goes to a 249.0. That is a very impressive lap time. He's shaved off practically a second there. Has the key. We've also got Blaine Tompkins, sorry, here as well this week. And hopefully this week he'll be pulling into the pits as instructed. Here at the season finale in Sunset as well, and yeah, it seems like them.
I think he did get the message, so
Yeah,
we should see everyone pit here.
yeah. And it does look, we've got, of course, Mun and Grant trading lap times at the moment, but it looks as though we've got a pretty decent field in terms of the pace split, actually, in the Toyota Cup class this week. It'll be very interesting to see what the GT3s can do, because they're about to exit in fact, they have just exited the pits. So here come the GT3 field. There is Nico Grinham leading them out. He says over the mic, "I've got great pace in GT3s. What can he?" Well, we know what he can do, because he's been a really consistent performer all season long. As Dane Tompkins there needs to just finishing his final lap. I think that's just a case of what happens when the timing continues. Now, interestingly enough, we have not only a new man in the field in Devin Wenzel. We have a new manufacturer for the first time in the season finale. We finally have Audi on the Atlantic Sim Racing League grid, Nick.
You are right with that. I have not seen a lot of that this season.
Well, here's Nicholas Munn. They're not going to get caught by the GT3 field, thankfully, so it'll be a seamless transition. But he's got one more chance to just solidify that pole position as we look on to another new man this week. It's Quentin Carpenter with a lovely pink and black Corvette livery, Nick. What do you think we'll be seeing from him?
I think we could see some good stuff. I believe I saw him out at the official practice session, so he's been getting ready for this one.
Yeah, and there is Tristan Richard, looking strong as ever. Actually, fresh from the win at Laguna Seca, if I'm correct in my memory there, as Cameron Hare continues on to do one more lap. I don't think he'd set a lap of time at this point, so it's a very late unleashment from pits. But he'll do that lap, and he shouldn't be getting in anyone's way. As you can see, the GT3 field yet to start their first laps, actually. And there indeed is Cameron French just warming up the tyres of the Lamborghini. It was, I'll admit. Okay. Well, actually, I think this is Travis Richard. So Travis Richard actually switches to Ferrari for this week as well. So these two entering the bus stop, and will, in due course, set their opening lap times. Here is Mason McDonald in the Ferrari. He's gone for a yellow Pokemon livery this week. In fact, no, it's not yellow. That was the trick of the sunlight there that is hanging low in the sky. It's an orange livery. So perhaps every single week, just swapping the colours around.
I kind of love it.
I do. In fact, the BMW are doing something very similar in the actual real life World Endurance Championship this year. One of their cars, they are swapping the livery every single round to reflect a livery significant to BMW's heritage, which is brilliant. We've had a Tic Tac inspired 1992 DTM livery. We've had one from the Golf McLaren from 1995, which was BMW powered, of course. So plenty of really interesting liveries so far. Here is Tristan keeping. Actually, it looks like we've forgotten to mention, or at least I've forgotten to mention it, is that Blaine Tompkins, with that lap, has gone to pole position by about 0.7 of a second, Nick. So call it last minute, call it what you want. Certainly a brilliant lap from him. So 1 week on from Laguna Seca, he sets pole position for the first time.
That is truly incredible. We've not really seen his name here, so coming from the back to the very front is great.
Absolutely. It caught me by surprise, because I thought all the GT3s were done. I was sort of assuming Nicholas Munn, who didn't improve on his final lap, by the way, and just in keeping would have that front row. But no, Blaine Tompkins sets a lap time that's kind of caught all of us out here in the booth, and I think probably caught the field out as far as the GR86 Cup cars go. Here is Devin Wenzel on his first lap, and it took me far too long, I'll admit, to realise that the engine in the back of the Audi and the Lamborghini were exactly the same. At least the drive from the same engine. They sound exactly the same for a reason. That is because of the
he might be
common
right.
platform. Yeah.
Did you see the chat there?
It is. Charmander. Oh, goodness me. Yes, Charmander. Yes, you're right, MG8620. I didn't even think of that, but no, you're right. I think Mason McDonald is switching between the starter Pokemon, because we had Pikachu last week, but for the week before that, we had Squirtle, and now we have Charmander. And I'm sounding there like a like I've got far much more Pokemon knowledge than I actually do have. My only real experience is from occasional references in YouTube. And I once played Pokemon I think it's Pokemon Let's Go Eevee? I'm not sure. It was one for the Switch back in like 2017. And it was quite a good game, to be fair. Here is Jacob Durden in
Would
the
you
Canada
look at
Corvette,
that?
meanwhile.
On the leaderboard, we're
Yeah.
seeing Adam Benoit with a faster lap than Nate.
Hello, you are absolutely right, Nick. Adam Benoit in the Ferrari goes to pole position. And look at that. You've got the new guy in here as well. Quentin Carpet is the fastest of the Corvettes as well. So the drivers who've either moved up to GT3 or are new to GT3, new to the league, are certainly making their mark felt. I would love to see Adam Benoit, just off this alone. I mean, very much love to see what he does in the race, of course. If we can get Adam Benoit be Nate Campbell for the full season next season, I would quite love a script like that. It'd be brilliant to see. Yeah, Adam Benoit, he can do it in all sorts of machinery, it seems. Nico Greenham running just a bit wide there through Speaker's Corner. Here is Quentin Carpentier. Or Quentin Carpenter, sorry. I imagine the I, which changes the pronunciation of the surname. Here is Devin Wenzel in the Audi. Well, the Audi that's sort of got a factory livery vibe to it, which I quite like, actually. And here is Tyler Richard in the Hot Wheels Porsche. He seems to have stuck with this livery, and I think it's fair to say, since he's switched from what I believe was the Wendy's scheme, he's found himself in some rather good positions.
He really has. I was seeing lots of fourths and fifths out of him, but he's moved right up there into third position after switching to quite the respectable livery.
Yeah, and look who's in the chat, everyone. Golden Eagle 741. Let's go, Team NS. Oh, I'm trying to rack my brain to remember what county that. Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia. There we go.
You got it.
Nova Scotia.
We're seeing lots of
Yeah.
Team Nova Scotia up here with Adam Benoit and Nate Campbell both representing.
Yeah, I think it's a Nova Scotia 1, 2, 3, 4 in the championship standing. So they've obviously got the pick of the punch when it comes to the sim racing drivers so far. It'll be interesting to see. But I think next season, this would be a great idea, is do a championship for the provinces. So Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, New Brunswick. Let's see if we can calculate something for next season. I think it'd be great, considering the league is, of course, all about the Atlantic areas of Canada.
I think we definitely will take some calculations here and hopefully try to figure out. I think as of right now, we're seeing a lot of Nova Scotia, so it might not even be a question.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say Nova Scotia, if we've been tracking it from the start of the season, would already have the title comfortably in both classes, because both classes have a 1, 2, 3, 4 as far as they go. So I think I'd love it if that was in for next season. We of course do have the pre-season, post-season, whatever you want to call it, the mid-season even rounds. So we're not quite disappearing fully after this. There will be some fun events on in the gap between this season and the next official of the Atlantic Sim Racing League. 1 minute 40 on the qualifying times. Nate Campbell has responded to Mike Postma, actually. Give the speech, Mike Postma. I was expecting it to be Adam Benoit in second, but no, Mike Postma has come in to set a barnstorming time of P2. They're both under 3/10 off of Nate Campbell's best time. It's very much looking like that BMW number 016 that everybody is known to be the standard has very much got some work to do to keep those GR86 guys who've been testing themselves and training themselves all season in the GR86 Cup cars. They've sort of come along like Max Verstappen did to GT3 from F1 and very much asserted themselves right into the front of the pack. The question is indeed, Golden Eagle, are we going to see a 17? Now here comes Tristan Richard. He's down in P9 from that Laguna Seca win. Whether he can go for that, we'll have to wait and see. Carl Scott will let him by, I think, just going for one final lap. Here is Mike Postma to come up to the timing lead. He's going to break it. Where's he going to go to? It's going to be not quite an improvement, but Quentin Carpenter has gone second in the Corvette. So Nate Campbell, goodness me, no, Tristan Richard does go fastest from P9. So GT3 has suddenly become alive. There's 1 lap to go, and we've got no idea who's taking pole, Nick.
This is going to be an incredible start with all these guys right on the pace.
I mean, you look at the gaps in those top six: 0.1, 0.1, 0.0 in the case of Mike Postman behind Quentin Carpenter, 0.1 on Nico Grillam, 0.0 Adam Benoit, 0.2 Mason McDonald, and then 0.0, 0.0 for Cameron French and Jacob Durden. It is an incredibly close field. Wherever you look in GT3, we've still got this final lap of qualifying to be done. Here's Tyler Richard, then. He's currently sitting P10. We know how competitive it is. He's got 6/10 to make up on Jacob Durden, but after that, the rest of the lap time should come together quite nicely. Nico Grillam, meanwhile, making his way through the com down towards Bruxelles. Now, where does Tyler Richard go? He ends up pitting. So I think as we come to the end of qualifying, Tyler Richard does not improve, but it's looking like Tristan Richard is going to take back-to-back pole positions here. In both Spa and Laguna Seca. Quentin Carpenter's happy enough with his P3. He's gone to the pits, and fair play. He's a brand newcomer to the league, and he's set himself into third place not already. Actually beating out Mike Postman. Adam Benoit too will start from 6th on the grid, pending the lap times of Durden, Cameron French, Tyler Richard, who we know has stopped, but Devin Wenzel and Travis Richard as well. We're waiting for their times to come through. Here is Tristan Richard. It's one of the McLarens. I think that would be Mike Postman has pulled off to the side. So whether he's had damage or something, we'll have to wait and see. I did see a bit of dust being kicked up from the second corner of Piff Paff. So maybe on his final lap he'd pushed it a bit too hard. We'll have to wait and see. To answer your question, then, Golden Eagle, here is the man in best prime position to do it, Tristan Richard, coming up towards the bus stop chicane. He needs a good exit if he wants it. He's only got a 1/10 of a second to make up over the timing. The final lap he comes through towards the timing beam. Is it an improvement in any means? Not quite. So Nate Campbell will actually remain, I think, in the pole position somehow. Adam Benoit or Cameron French moves up to 7th ahead of Mason McDonald. We've got, looks like Nico Grillam coming due to set his final time. In fact, everybody has now set their final times. And when you look at the timing boards themselves, it is incredibly close, isn't it, Nick?
It really is. There's not much of a gap. We're seeing 2:18s all the way to 7th position.
Yeah. Should be an incredibly close one. And indeed, Nate Campbell, very, very close for him this week. He's not going to have it all his way. And I guess that just shows when you think about the growth of this league we've seen already over the last couple of months. It really does show the growth of the league that we're able to have a qualifying session that is this close as it never has really been before.
No, you're right there. We've seen a lot of movement between all the drivers, really. But this one, everyone is truly locked in.
Absolutely. Well, we're ready to go to grid. Just a matter of waiting for that timing to count down for everybody to get on the grid, as 'twere, and we can get ourselves underway for the final pace lap of the season. Looking like it's going to be a brilliant race here with the qualifying to run you through the order then, which we'll start when they go to grid. Looks like Blaine Tompkins will start from the pole on GR86. We know that Nate Campbell did all that he could, and in the end he did manage to keep pole position for the GT3s. Now, again, standard rules here, 40 minutes. We are expecting a pit stop for the GT3s, but the GR86 cars will not need one, or shouldn't need one at least. We're under sunset conditions transitioning tonight, so that's going to be something we haven't seen before, but another extra challenge for these drivers to contend with. The sun, which is going to be hanging low in the sky, low enough possibly to... That's fine, don't worry. So, sunset the whole way. That's what we're hearing, which I will never complain about because I do love a good sunset, and it basically means we've got golden now for the next 40 minutes. So if I was a photographer, I'd be making the most of this. So under the sun that is hanging in the sky, we wait for everybody else to grid over. Looks like Tristan Richard is the only man who we're waiting on, and also
Devin
Robert,
Wenzel in the
Robert,
Audi there too.
yeah, yes, and indeed as well. So just waiting for those guys to grid, but it should be a really, really good race, this one. Final race of the regular season. And indeed, then Tristan Richard does go. And actually, it won't be a full
Unfortunately,
pace
we
lap.
see Tyler Richard all the way down there in 10th. He had such a good race last week. I was
Yeah,
expecting to see him up there and battling.
indeed as well. Well, he's got a bit of a task to get himself through this monstrous GT3 field. Certainly, if he can put a performance in like he did last week, could well be seeing him up the front of the field later on in the race. And the pace car sets off then for a final few corners. Not a full pace lap. We're starting on the run down towards, or starting in Piff-Paff and then making our way towards Blanchimont.
Makes
And
sense
when
with
you
this
think
being
about,
such a long track, almost 7 kilometers.
yeah, we know they do full pace laps on certain tracks, but I think to do a full one at Spa would be a bit extreme. 7 kilometers, as you said, to make up. And indeed, Golden Eagle, the final formation lap of the season then. Now, Nick, you, of course, are you are the creator of this league, you're the broadcaster of this league, you're the commentator of this league. From your perspective, you've been able to grow it in the way you have. You've done the YouTube highlights, you've done the YouTube streams, you've done pretty much everything there is possibly to do. You've done the graphics and the overlays and everything involved in this season. What words can you give to this final run towards the flag as you reflect on this first season of the Atlantic Sim Racing League?
You know, I am very, very excited. We had such a great season, such a great turnout. As you can see right now, like, this is truly incredible. So I'm super, super duper happy with this. And I'm so glad to be putting this on every week for all you to watch. And of course, it cannot go without saying thank you to Thomas and thank you to Gerald, who actually does the graphics, most of them. So we'll give him the credit where it's due there because he does such an incredible job, and of course you as well.
Thank you. Well, here's a brilliant treat for all of us. Oh no, Tristan Richard! Oh, what a horrible way to close the season for Tristan Richard. I was just about to say they've all got going, and indeed they haven't, because Tristan Richard in the barriers, and he's spun himself around at Le Source as well. The GA6 one is now trying to get involved with the Ferrari. I think that looks like it's Travis Richard, who also got a bit wide to the opening corner. The rest of the GT3s have made themselves quite well, and look at that, the Lamborghini of Cameron French up about 5 places on the run down towards the comp for the first time. In third, it's Quentin Carpenter, Nico Gwynn in fourth, Posma and Benoit have moved back down. Jacob Durden in seventh as they go into the final corner. There's Nico Gwynn making a move on Carpenter, who slips behind Mike Postma as well, and Nico Gwynn. A dramatic start here at Spa-Francorchamps, but as they go through the first half of the lap, it's still all to play for. But for Tristan Richard, an absolute travesty to start the season. I can't see that I think he is still making his way through the GA6 field as we speak now, as they run through Speaker's Corner. But goodness me, glad that nobody else is involved in that. Of course, Travis Richard had a bit of a nightmare to start with as well. But it's been a topsy-turvy start, a dramatic start to the final race of the season, Nick.
It really has, and it got turned a little south before we could even finish our little intro. So quite exciting stuff.
Yeah. Here is Jacob Durden then, with eyes on about 5 or 6 cars trying to make his way through the field. And he's had a bit of a mixed fortune in terms of luck recently, but he'll be hoping for better things this week to close out the season. Here then is Nicholas Munn, and looks like Blaine Tompkins.
Tristan Keeping, I think.
Tristan Keeping even, as the timing updates, Tristan Keeping updates. So here we go then, the rest of the GA6 field, and look at all of them streaming through Piff-Paff for the first time. I can now report that Travis Richard has officially cleared them, so he's still remaining in the race, which is very, very good to hear. And as the GT3s come to close the first lap, it's certainly been quite a frantic start.
No question about that.
And Golden Eagle didn't see what happened. I didn't really see what happened. I think that somebody must have got into the back of Tristan there, but we don't know. We'll have to wait and see what he can do in response to that, how far he can make it his way back up the field now. And the good news is that everybody's kind of still bunched up together because it's such a slipstream track. He's only lost about 10 seconds. In fact, he's just going to do the source now. So there's every chance, if this sort of pack stays as a pack, that Tristan could find himself catching back up to it and finally making some moves to get himself up the order then. Here is the GR86 field, and look how tense it is and close it is in the opening part of the lap. Indeed, it is Tristan keeping and Nicholas Munn. And here goes on the Nicholas Munn on the inside of the source. Keep Tristan leaves in the space, will hold the position on the run down towards Rouge, but it's going to be Nicholas Munn, who is very much in the slipstream of Tristan keeping now. I think that Tristan's got enough of a gap that it's not going to matter up towards the com. We'll have to wait and see. Again, the Rouge kind of part of that section is Cameron French in the Lamborghini with Nate Campbell starting to open up almost a tiny bit of a gap. There is the battle for the lead. And in fact, Nick, Munn and Keeping, for all their efforts to try and take the lead from each other, have not really broken away from the majority of the field.
No, they're staying real tight there, so it should be a good battle throughout the pack.
Looking forward to see what they can offer. Here is the new man, Toby Grant, in that lovely livery that we mentioned right at the top of the show. Just trying to get past Tristan Keeping. Oh, no, he goes wide. Oh, the spin for Toby Grant there. He's managed to catch it, in fairness, using the runoff area there. But goodness me, horrible moment for him. He's being passed to by Cameron Hare in the Retro Williams Libby, that 1992 one. Here, meanwhile, what that's done is it's broken up the top two battles in the class. So you've got first versus second, which is Keeping versus Munn, and Blaine Tompkins and Mitchell Parker fighting for third at the moment. It looks like quite a ferocious one as well. Mike Posma going defensive on the Corvette of Quentin Carpenter, and behind them is the Ferrari of Adam Benoit. So,
and as we look ahead, we're seeing French right on Nate's bumper. This is new stuff here.
absolutely, up Rouge they go, almost neck and neck. Cameron French very much in the slipstream of Nate Campbell. Could we see a move for the lead into Les Combes? Now, Cameron French is a man we haven't really seen that much of in recent weeks, but he's come back here with a fire lit underneath the V10 engine of that Lamborghini. Will he go for the move on the inside? Nate Campbell's going to not try and defend this. He's going to try and stay on the outside, but he won't be able to. Cameron French goes through to lead at Spa-Francorchamps here in the Atlantic Sim Racing League. The Lamborghini has re-emerged from the ashes and it is leading the way here at Spa-Francorchamps. Nate Campbell has competition also there. Looks to be Jacob Durden in the Corvette car, going on the inside of Benoit Campbell, who was having a think about a move back on Cameron French in the Lamborghini. For the moment, though, it is Jacob Durden who's moved it to 6th place. So it's Corvettes running 5th and 6th, and Quentin Carpenter has had a horrible moment through that part of the corner because he's actually pulled over to the side to let Jacob through. I think that something must have gone on there. Meanwhile, this looks to be Tristan Keeping, actually, who must have had some kind of a moment. Indeed it is. He's red P2 behind him, or ahead of him is Mitchell Parker. So Mitchell Parker has found his way into the lead of the GR86 class at the same time.
And it seems Nicholas Munn might have had some trouble there. He's made his way to the pit.
Yeah. As you mentioned it, indeed it's happened. Nicholas Munn in the pit lane is there, tries with Blaine Tompkins, who is trying a move. Now, we saw he got pole position. He's down to 2nd place at the moment. And here is Nate Campbell, who's sending it round the outside of Rene French at the bus stop. But he's going to run wide, stays the inside of the next corner into the drag race down to the source now. And Nico Goodham is right in with these two. So you just do not know where to look. There's a great battle going on for the lead in GT3. The same is happening in the GR86 Cup class. And Rene French remains on the inside of the BMW, who will now have Nico Goodham having a look at the inside as well. So it's going to be a drag race towards Rouge between Nico Goodham in the Corvette and the BMW of Nate Campbell, and the BMW will win on that occasion. But Rene French has got a couple of car lengths now heading up to Radion, and I imagine will remain that. In fact, they're catching, as you mentioned. Goodness me, that was close. The commitment of Rene French there was incredible. And as you mentioned, Nicholas Munn was actually leaving the pits there and had the entire GT3 train catching up to him. Luckily, nobody was injured. Nobody was involved in contact there. Nico Goodham did get past, and Nico Goodham's going to try and go round the outside of Rene French with the class lead. Side by side through Les Combes. Goodness me, they're still side by side. on the run down towards Bristol now, and Nico Quinham goes round the outside. What a brilliant move from the Corvette.
This is incredible stuff. We've been waiting all season to see Nico up front there. He's had great pace all season, and here it is.
I'm absolutely losing my voice right now, as you can probably tell as they ran through Bristol. Cameron French then demoted to second place. Nate Campbell is going backwards. What a novelty that is. And my postmate is right up behind him as well. So we'll have to wait and see where the postmate can be the latest one to jump on the overtaking Nate Campbell bandwagon that's emerged in this race. Behind him is Jacob Durden, who's moved up past Adam Benoit. So Benoit running 6th, which is very respectable considering the absolute strength of the field at the moment. Nico Grinham, though, is doing what Cameron French couldn't, and he's storming away with the lead in this one.
And it seems like Nate Campbell is going to be held up with that battle with Cameron. So he might have a chance to slip away.
Does he want to go and try it? Yes, he does. And he's going to make the move work, although Cameron French is going to have words to say about this. He's staying on the inside line for the bus stop now. Campbell tried to the last lap. He's going to try it again. Well, French has left him in the space. And indeed, Nate Campbell goes through to take second position. So Nate Campbell up to second place. And here, meanwhile, is it 3 wide for the lead in Giro 86? Yes, it is. Goodness me, and Blaine Tompkins. There's contact between Blaine Tompkins and between Tristan Keeping. Keeping will stay ahead. Tompkins will remain on the inside as they go 3 wide through Lake On. Now, look at this. Nate Campbell running in second place, and Cameron French is going to be on his inside towards Radion, but will relent up of one of motorsport's most fierce corners. And believe me, it is incredibly fierce when you see it up in person. And now he's going to try and have the run towards Lecombe in the slipstream of the BMW so far. And we know that the V10 of this Lamborghini does pack a punch, and it obviously packs a brilliant punch when Cameron French is behind the wheel of it. And look at that, Mike Postma and Adam Benoit and Jacob Durden are all in this train. If this is what we get every week, sign me up and extend the season, because it's brilliant, brilliant action. It's what we're getting this week. Well, I don't know what to comment on because it's all going so fast, it's all happening at the same time. This then is Adam Benoit, who's going to see the entire train of 6, and look at behind him. That's Quentin Carpenter, who may well turn that into a lead train of 7 cars rather than 6. He is Tristan Keeping. It is Tristan Keeping. In fact, yeah, I'm getting confused there. I think Tristan Keeping had a moment in the Moser-sponsored car, and now what we're seeing is that both of that original top 2, I think something must have happened when we saw them at Lecombe earlier in the lap, because now it is Blaine Tompkins in the lead, but Jeremy Maranzano, who is remaining in second place and has taken that position away from the likes of Nicholas Munn and Tristan Keeping. James Barrington up into third place, but with a gap of 6.3 seconds. This then is the battle for the lead. Blaine Tompkins trying to break away from Jeremy Mazzarano, and this is the battle for third, meanwhile, I think, with Tristan. Sorry, that's the battle between Tristan Keeping and between Mitchell Parker for 5th place. So Mitchell Parker was leading the class earlier on. I think something may have happened up at Lecombe when we were watching them going 3 wide. It was threatening to make contact, and they may well have done. Here is Nico Grinham, so Nico Grinham is 3/10 ahead of Nate Campbell, then, so he's not by any means broken away. But riding on board now with Quentin Carpenter in the Corvette, which is my favourite of the GT3s in terms of the sound it could give you when you're at the racetrack. And again, it's sort of what we're seeing now as they start to lap Cameron Hare, all leaping out of the slipstream to do so. And here is Nate Campbell, and there up ahead is Nico Grinham. He's getting held up by the Tristan Keeping and Mitchell Parker battle, and now they're coming up on the battle for the lead, which may well go 2 wide. This is James Barrington in 4th, trying to get past Toby Grant, and now you can see the GT3s are all diving out of the way to get past them and trying not to lose time. They've done a very good job of that, it must be said, going in towards Lecombe as Mike Postma has hung on to the back of this little, well, I say this brilliant battle. So it's very much then a 4-way fight for the lead. Nate Campbell trying to get past Nico Grinham, and Rios take the lead he took pole of. Behind him, Cameron French. Behind Cameron French is Mike Postma. So these 4 fighting for the race lead. We ride on board with the BMW of Nate Campbell. this is a almost driver's eye view, so almost what these guys are going to be seeing as they get past the GR86 lap lead battle with Lane Tompkins there. Goodness, it's crazy. I think there's nearly 27 more minutes of this the whole way through the race. Nate Campbell then trying to think of every single way he can get past Nico Grinham, but it's one thing trying to pass at Spa, it's another thing overtaking. It's the oldest cliche in motorsports, but as Grinham starts to go slightly wide, can Campbell get the slipstream he needs? Now, interestingly enough, we mentioned it earlier, can Tristan Richard find his way back into the pack? He very much has done, because ahead of him is debutant Devin Wenzel for 10th place. So he's on course for a top 10 finish, but there is Nico Grinham and there is Nate Campbell. So Grinham wasn't able to get away. Campbell's going to have a look to the outside line going into the bus stop. Will there be a last minute change of direction? No. Grinham does exactly what he needs to do. Gets his car in the middle of the track to just hold off Campbell, but Campbell will get a great run up the final corner. So Nate Campbell side by side with Nico Grinham down towards the source, and I think Nate Campbell's done it. He may have got back into the lead, but we know Grinham is going to be such a ferocious competitor, but Campbell then takes the lead once again with 25 minutes to go, but he's now got no slipstream, everybody else behind him has. So will that come into play as they run down towards Lecom? I think so. Here's Toby Grant and Tristan Keeping trying to do their best to get past each other and remain in place. As you can see, the Ferrari of Travis Richard there just going into the back of shot. Now Nico Grinham, he needs the Corvette straight line speed, and he needs it now. Towards Lecom they go with Cameron French behind as this sort of top four starts to break up. Campbell will go defensive onto the inside of Lecom. What will Nico Grinham's response be? He'll stay behind for the next couple of corners. They've got the run down towards Brussels to navigate as well, and then through speakers. So this second sector should be okay for Nate Campbell in terms of defensive driving wise. This is the battle between Jacob Durden and Quentin Carpenter. So Quentin Carpenter dropped the 6th place somehow, and Jacob Durden also has done the same to 7th. So it's the battle between 6th and 7th places for between the Corvette and the Ferrari. In fact, their timings updated, so that's actually a battle between Quentin Carpenter and Jacob Durden for 5th place. My apologies, that was timing.
And it seems that Mike Postma just slotted into 2nd position there.
He did indeed. So somewhere along the line, Mike Postma has got past Cameron French for 2nd place. So I suggest that probably happened while we were looking at the GT3 field, as Nate Campbell has come in and started doing a Nate Campbell by taking the largest lead we've seen so far, and it speaks volumes to the quality of the drivers that the largest lead we've seen so far all day is just 1.5 seconds. Now there's a great battle going on in GR86, but there's always a great battle going on in GR86. Toby Grant, Tristan Keeping, Mitchell Parker are all fighting amongst each other for the 2nd position, as Blaine Tompkins had a 10-second lead already. So I suggest something has happened in the grand scheme of things in this class, because Blaine Tompkins has established a incredibly large lead, and in the final round of the season he may well be about to convert pole to a win, because they've got to take essentially half a second a lap out of him, because it's a 2-minute lap round here, which gives us about 11 laps to go. 11 or 12 laps to go, I suggest. So it's going to be a tall order to get back past Blake Tompkins, who may well have been able to establish a unbeatable margin of a lead so far, as Nate Campbell meanwhile makes it 2 seconds to the good he has now on Mike Postma, with Cameron French half a second back in 3rd. Here indeed is that battle of a second. So Cameron French and Mike Postma up Rouge and Radion they go on the run towards Lecom. We'll have to watch them all the way. I'd suggest that Cameron French is slightly too far behind to be able to have a go down into Lecom, and as long as he can stay through honest onto the back of the McLaren for the rest of the lap, he should have a good run down towards the bus stop. That's kind of what it's about, this infield section. You're not necessarily able to make an overtake unless an unforced error occurs, but it's all about sticking with your opponent, making sure you can get a good run out towards Blanchimont and the bus stop out the final corner, out of Piff Path. So it is 2 drivers we haven't seen in GT3 in a while, and certainly not at this head of the field. But Nate Campbell is starting to threaten to just leave all these guys behind. It's a 2-second advantage for the BMW.
He really is. He's showing us his stuff. And he's truly earned it all season long. You've seen him out there in the front, and there he sits at the season standings on 1st position.
Yeah. Well, the title is his for a reason, and this is sort of potentially going to turn into a victory lap of sorts. He doesn't need to be here to defend his crown, but he is here for the love of the game, for the love of sim racing, and for the love of the lead. Now we're riding on board with the GR86 cars. Toby Grant is going to go to the inside of Tristan Keating. He may well have a fancy on Mike Mitchell Parker as well as they go down towards Lake Com. Who's going to be later on the brakes? Tristan Keating will have to concede in Toby Grant. In fact, it is, and he is to his detriment, as he'll go over the runoff and have to let back past Mitchell Parker. And with the Ferrari in the mix as well, he's got to be very, very careful that he doesn't concede another position to Tristan Keating, which in fact he does, going down towards Bruxelles. So Mitchell Parker now has to deal with Tristan Keating, which has been the case for much of the race so far. Keating taking a nice, neater line, and now running towards, through Speaker's Corner, down towards Piff Path. There will go. It's a commitment corner, one where you get a lot of time, but you've got to make sure that you don't just generate that understeer that the GR86 car wants to have all the time. All three of them are streaming down towards Piff Path. It's going to be an incredibly close run thing between these three then. Will there be any moves made towards that corner? Keating's going to be in the slipstream, but I suggest he hasn't got enough momentum to go for a move on Piff Path. He could easily set himself up for something down towards Blanchimont and through Pouon though. So what will be of this battle for second place? It is incredible so far. Great to see Toby Grant as well, the newcomer to this league, able to mix it with the best of the class.
And as those three are battling, we're seeing Tompkins sneak farther and farther away from the pack. He could have this one secured.
Yeah. Well, this could well be the race for Blaine Tompkins. He's got 11 seconds to the good, and his pace is not letting up by any means. With 20 minutes to go, it's going to be a very tall order for them to get back past, because you can visually see the gap on the track. You can in the sense that you can't see any of the GR86.
You can visually see is a black flag actually for him.
Oh,
that is unfortunate. He might lose that position.
Yeah. Black flag, we're not sure what for. Now, we've had black flags in the past. We had, of course, Jake Champion at Charlotte. I remember that incident where he made the move around the outside of a GR86 class car and made contact enough so that he would be disqualified from the race. Now, black flag doesn't mean an instant disqualification. As Toby Grant gets it all wrong through the source and goes right onto the gravel trap, he's going to lose a lot of time for that. And you can see how the other two guys, namely Tristan Keating and Mitchell Parker, are storming away from him. Mike Postman out is trying his hardest to keep Nate Campbell in sight, and he's just about doing it. 2.5 seconds the gap is now. As you mentioned though, Nick, black flag doesn't mean an instant disqualification, but it will mean a trip to the pits, I'd imagine, for Blaine Tompkins. Well, it can be for a number of reasons. A black flag, I've had them for speeding in pits, for race start procedure, and actually into the pits then comes the Ferrari. That looks like it's Travis Richard. So we did expect the GT3s to have a pit stop made at some point during this race. The question will be then of when they come in, because 18 minutes to go. They've still got a bit of fuel in their tanks, Nick. So interesting to see what we can see with the fuel strategy. And actually, Nate Campbell, the gap is still 2.7 now, it must be said. But he's not got it all his own way in these final 18 minutes of the season. So here we look then at Cameron French. You can see Mike Postma in the not in the distance, in his front view, and he's trying his hardest to get back into second place, which of course he occupied for much of the race earlier on. The gap is 6/10 between them, 3 seconds or thereabouts is the gap to Nate Campbell. I think he's probably thinking if he can get past Mike Postma, there's every chance as Jacob Jordan or Quentin Carpenter, runs ever so slightly wide through the exit of Speaker's Corner. He'll be thinking there's every chance he can catch back up to Nate Campbell if he can get past Mike Postma in swiftly enough time. You can still see that Campbell is by no means broken away. In fact, the gap has come down to 2.4 seconds. So it is very much ebbing and flowing for the race lead. With 17 minutes to go, it is absolutely within reason and within prediction that his lead may falter somewhat if Cameron French and Mike Postma can either work together or what can start eking into his lead advantage and stop fighting for second position. Now we can see that Quentin Carpenter is there again in fourth, Jacob Durden in fifth. The gaps are starting to open up somewhat as we come towards the final 15 minutes of the regular season. Now, indeed, you mentioned there a black flag for Blake Tompkins. He's taken his penalty now. It's saying he's pitting out. The lead advantage he had was so dominant. He's come out in third position.
You're right, and Tristan Keeping takes that number 1. With Mitchell falling back a little bit. He's definitely showing us some good stuff to stay out there.
Absolutely. Tristan Keeping in wanting another win. And as long as he can keep Mitchell Parker behind, we haven't seen in this capacity for some time, really since Lime Rock, which of course was the BMW M2 Challenge round. And here then goes Tristan Keeping, 1.3 seconds is the advantage he has over Mitchell Parker, trying to maintain that as best he can. With 16 minutes to go, and update on the lead battle, Mike Postma 2.7 behind Nate Campbell for the moment. Here indeed is the battle because Cameron French is all over the back of him, and oh goodness me, that's Cameron Howe. I think in the background he's taken to the grass and the barriers. So I think he may have had contact with one of the GT3s that was coming through. I think it might have been Quentin Carpenter. Do not quote me on that, though. We'll have to see if we can find out what's happened there. There is Cameron French on the inside of Poole, and he's going for the move then. Cameron French is on the inside of Mike Postman. They're side by side on the run up towards Piff Path. Nate Campbell being held up by a GR86 car, but Postman will hold on to the position for now. So Cameron French is daring do at Pouon, not quite enough. He'll have to think about Blanchimont maybe. As he's closing up, he's going to have a look on the inside. It's going to be a very low percentage move. He's sent it to the inside on the curbing. There's no contact, and actually Cameron French does make the move then. So as they approach more GR86 traffic, Cameron French back up into second position, and Mike Postman is challenging him behind, and the gap to the lead battle is 2.5 seconds. So Nick, can we see Cameron French catch up? Because look at this, Mike Postma is gaining in the slipstream.
I think we very much could. If Nate Campbell sees enough of that traffic in the GR field, we could see another battle for the first position on the podium.
Absolutely. Now here is this battle between the third place Blaine Tompkins, having served his penalty, and fourth place Toby Grant. So that's something we'll have to watch for the final podium place with 14 minutes to go on the season. It's ticking down so fast, and here's Quentin Carpenter actually, who's closed up to the back of Mike Postma and Cameron French, who's starting to tear away, and he's starting to eat. Well, he's not just eating into that gap, he's absolutely having it for breakfast. 1.5 seconds the gap is now to Nate Campbell. Cameron French is on fire in the Lamborghini. Here, meanwhile, is Quentin Carpenter in the Corvette in the slipstream with Mike Postman's McLaren, who may well go backwards again towards the con they go. And I think Mike Postman's going to have the position held as they go through the com. Yes, indeed he is. But Quentin Carpenter is making an absolute statement so far in his debut in the series. He's fourth, and he's very much up with the front runners. Here is Toby Grant, meanwhile, doing exactly the same thing as Nico Grinham moves past. So I don't actually know what happened to Nico Grinham, whether he may be pitted or whether something happened to him. We didn't really touch on it, but something's obviously gone down then with Nico Grinham. At some point in the race, he was looking very strong earlier on. He was leading Nate Campbell earlier on in this race. But here we go then. Toby Grant looking for a podium on debut in the Atlantic Sim Racing League in the GR86 Cup class. In fact, you can have a look at the pitters now. So Mason McDonald has made his pit stop, as has Taylor Richard, as has Carl Scott. We haven't mentioned much this season, or much this week. Tristan Richard and Adam Benoit, interestingly enough, has also pitted. He's down in 11th place at the moment. Tristan Richard as well on lap 7. So the first pitter in the class. Here is Nico Grinham. The only man to have not made it, the last man to have not made a pit stop on track in P6 at the moment, in a bit of a no man's land situation. He is 12 seconds behind Jacob Durden. Here is Quentin Carpenter, though, who's having another look at Mike Postma, searching for a podium, as is Toby Grant. We've got two newcomers here, Nick, searching for a podium on their debut.
It is quite surprising to see, but we're happy for it.
Indeed, we are.
We've been seeing them start to get things prepared the last couple days, so I'm glad that they made it out on the track.
Absolutely, and here, meanwhile, well, we haven't mentioned that much, but it is Tyler Richard who's up to 8th place. Mason McDonald, interestingly enough, does have a black flag, so 21 seconds behind Nico Grinham, and he's going to have to serve that. Indeed, I think he's just letting Tyler Richard past here, or is he? No, he's going to try and fight it, but I think Tyler's going to have the move done. Indeed, he is, and or run towards Blonderman on the inside. So I'd imagine that Mason McDonald would use that as his cue to serve the penalty, whatever penalty he has. Whether it's a drive-through or whether it's a well, there will be a drive-through of some description. Here's Toby Grant then looking to the inside at the doors. Is he going to go for the move on the inside? Not quite. He'll hang back in the slipstream of the former race leader Blaine Tompkins, pole sitter as well, and up coming on them now is a Mr. Tyler Richard, who will go by. Look at the size difference even between the two classes. It's incredible.
Who actually seemed to just pass Nico Grinham as well, who was in the pit, so he's dropped down a position there.
Yeah, something's happened to Nico Grinham because he's down in 7th and Tyler Richard is up to 6th out of nowhere. So even though the gaps are opening up in the class, it's still very intense. Here is Toby Grant on the inside for P3. This would be in the race in the GR86 Cup class. On the inside at the com he goes, and on the inside he will stay for the moment over Blaine Tompkins, who will try and fight him way through towards Brissell. He won't be able to make much of a meal of it, I don't think. So here comes Quentin Carpenter, searching for a podium position on Mike Postman, who's held him behind for quite a while now. It's a decent run they've both had. Here is Tristan Richard trying to get past these guys. Behind him is the Ferrari of Travis Richard, and also the McLaren. There's goodness me, there's contact between the two of them on the inside. That was Adam Benoit even, who's going side by side towards Pillon. They're going to go side by side on the inside, and Tristan Richard will make his way back round towards Pillon, or pit path they go. Toby Grant goes really wide through Pillon. Tristan Richard will hold the position. Carl Scott's in the background of this fight as well, you know. So towards Blonderman will be the key moment, the key factor in this battle for the moment. They're just so thinly spread out, these guys. It is incredible to watch. Carl Scott there, very much involved in this battle. They passed Blaine Tompkins and Toby Grant, who will resume their battle for the next couple of laps. But what can Carl Scott do on the run down towards Blonderman and the final chicane? Is Adam Benoit will do exactly the same thing on the Ferrari of Tristan Richard, who is held up by one of the GR86 runners. I think that's Mitchell Parker, and will stall around the outside for the moment. But Tristan Richard will stay in the slipstream of Adam Benoit. And towards Blonderman they'll go on the inside of Tristan Keeping. Can Tristan Richard now go for the move and make it back on Adam Benoit, the newcomer in GT3 at least? He's been so dominant in the GR86 Cup class, trying to go for a good result. There's a bit of contact as they go through the bus stop chicane, but Tristan Richard will make his move stick on the inside. Adam Benoit is going to have the side-by-side moment towards the source they come now. Will he be able to go for the move? I doubt it, but he's going to try, you know. Tristan Richard will cover it off though on the run down to Lazor. He's going to slow the Ferrari up and allow Carl Scott to have a good run down towards Radion and Lecom, the Lecom chicane. So Quentin Carpenter doing the same thing earlier in the lap against Mike Poinsborough. He's holding on to DLI for a podium position, and the gap in the lead is stabilised somewhat at 1.7 seconds. Through Lecom they run now. Here is Toby Grant, who's going to be in the slipstream of Blaine Tompkins. So these two still very much battling out for third position. They've been doing so for a number of laps now. They've got the Ferrari of Travis Richard to get past them, which they will do. Tompkins moves to the left to block the oncoming Toby Grant. He'll stay behind him through Lecom. He'll almost have a look on the inside at the second part of the chicane. Look at how much Kirby's using there. I think Tompkins is very much in defensive mode. You can look at the way the body language of that car suggests he's very much in that state of mind. Quentin Carpenter has moved up to P3 meanwhile. So Cameron Friends has some sort of a moment, Nick. He's down to P4. So Travis Richard and Adam Benoit now fighting over 8th place in the road, with Carl Scott behind them. Carl, maybe not at the front every week, but certainly a stalwart of this league. A very common sight and a very, very proud supporter of it and being here for so long. So Benoit will roll around through Blanchimont. He'll go. Tristan Richard can't do anything about it this time. He's going to have to just hope he can extend that slipstream as far as the bus stop will carry him. But it will be a stalemate for moment to moment. I just want to point out that Cameron Herrer is in the pit stop after that incident on the run down towards the top. We saw him fling off to the side. The camera pan through Bruxelles a couple of laps ago. He's down by a lap, but he's still in the pits. Behind him is James Barrington. So the Kiwi, James Barrington's had some sort of a moment somewhere on the track and is currently last of the running cars. And actually, Nicholas Munn is out of the race. I didn't see that earlier. I was so focused on the GT3s, but Nicholas Munn is out of the race. Has been for some time. And Robert Ryan, who is new to this league, new to the Giro 86 Cup class, we haven't really been able to mention him that much. As Benoit and Richard go side by side, Tristan Richard and Benoit, and Adam Benoit will take the place back in his Ferrari up to P8. The Ferrari now goes. But yes, Ryan Roberts, unfortunately, not able to make much of a spark on his debut. We couldn't really have that much time to mention him in this race. 5 minutes and 40 seconds to go, and look at that. Interestingly enough, Tristan Richard sails by with a bit of a helping hand as Adam Benoit lets him back past. So maybe there was a bit of a sportsmanship going on there. It's good to see in the gravel chap that goes by past Benoit. This is going to present the opportunity to Quentin Carpenter, who does not need to be asked twice. He's going to go into P3 and he's running in a podium position on his debut in the Atlantic Sim Racing League here at the Sunset and Spa. And I think he's got enough of a slipstream on Mike Postman that he's not going to need to go defensive and towards the bus stops again. But it all depends on the run these guys get through Blanchimont. So here we go. Through Blanchimont they will run. It's full throttle here. Remember, in GT3s, about 180 miles an hour or so in towards the bus stop they will go, and Mike Postman will stay behind in the McLaren. And we'll have to try and go again. But I think Quentin Carpenter has broken his slipstream already. So Quentin Carpenter finally, after many, many laps of trying, has broken up into not only into P3, but he's got into P2 on the road, 5 seconds back from Nate Campbell, who is enjoying his largest gap of the race so far, as Cameron French is now coming under significant pressure from Jacob Durden in the Canada Corvette. It would be his best finish if he were to get Cameron French fourth. I think it would be the best finish for both of them, actually. As we look back to Nate Campbell, the man who has made this league his own, very much been the domineering force all the way through, ever since the first week. Has had a couple of moments where perhaps hasn't been the fastest, but you think back to Matthew Jones' win earlier in the season at Sebring, and you think back to Tristan Richards' win last week at Laguna Seca. But on the whole, the number 16 BMW has been the absolute tour de force in this league, in the GT3 class. The man who is our very own Max Verstappen, it must be said, has been so dominant this season and very, very well deserving of the championship in this final race.
Truly been a powerhouse.
Absolutely. We very much look forward to seeing what he can do next season and what this league can conjure up next season. If we can get a grid and race like this every week in the second season of the Atlantic Sim Racing League, it would be an absolute treat. As Blaine Tompkins tries to go around the outside at the bus stop, that's not going to quite work. He's outbraked himself and he's lost more time than he actually was going to ever gain on that move, but still running around in P3 at the moment. So he's looking like he's going to get his first podium position with 3 minutes left, so just over two laps to go, really. Possibly 3 if as well, but most likely 2 laps. The dying stages of the Atlantic Sim Racing League Season 1 and this race at Spa. Adam Benoit, Tristan Richard still fighting over 8th place. Of course, we wonder what Richard could have done had he not had the accident in the very first corner at the source. A corner really that invites far too many accidents at the start of races. Mason McDonald, meanwhile, unceremoniously down in P11 for him at the moment in the Charizard cover, giving him no luck. But that is a bit lucky that Carl Scott runs wide, and in fact runs wide but has enough momentum to go down the outside and maintain the advantage in P10. So we look on the Charizard car for now. Been lovely to have him and every single driver in this league. So with 2 minutes left, it is very much Nate Campbell is going to take a win, another win. The only way this season really could have ended was with a Nate Campbell win, because it's basically a tradition at this point. But it's going to be Quentin Carpenter, most likely. He's got a second of a gap now over Mike Postman. So those two are in prime position to take podium positions when everything is said and done. Tristan Keeping has a 3-second advantage or thereabouts over Mitchell Parker after the penalty to be served by Blaine Tompkins. So Tristan Keeping on course to take his first GR86 win, with Mitchell Parker on the podium for the first time, and indeed Blaine Tompkins on the podium for the first time. Toby Grant, but was only a second behind. So if he can make that gap up, he too could stand on the podium in his first race. But a very, very convincing, very, very lovely, very brilliant season, and we're very glad to have brought it to you here at the Atlantic Sim Racing League, as Toby Grant manages to hold on to it just about through the second part of Piff Paff. Goodness me, that was hairy. That was hair-raising from him. Manages to keep it together, though. As well, we wonder where Nate Campbell is. He's running through the bottom part of the course now. I think there's going to be one more lap to go, though he's in a position where realistically he doesn't need to do another lap. I'm sure he could lift off if he needs to, but I think he'll give us one more lap on the season then. Nate Campbell, what a driver, what a man, who will come through to confirm his championship season. He's already won it, of course, but this will be the trophy, the icing on the cake. 20 seconds to go, so he will start the final lap of the 2026 first season of the Atlantic Sim Racing League will come to a close. Nate Campbell will be the man to close it for us, as Blaine Tompkins searches for after P2. Mitchell Parker is not out of the woods at all here in this class. They're going to have one more lap to do, because as Mike Campbell starts the last lap of the season, everybody else has got to do one more lap, unless they are lapped, which I presume they will be. There's a chance he could lap every single GT3 Cup, GR86 Cup car up to Jeremy Maranzano, who's a minute and 50 behind, so I presume he's been to the pit somewhere. Here, meanwhile, is this battle between Tristan Richard and Adam Benoit. Benoit, a very welcome figure in GT3, though it probably hasn't gone exactly the way he'd hoped. But it is Nate Campbell. The gap has come down by a second. That will be, of course, due to traffic over and up Rouge, as this battle between Carl Scott and Mason McDonald continues. In the Charizard car, they enter their final lap of the season. And indeed, Nate Campbell is navigating these GT3 GR86 Cup cars with ease. So this will be an untroubled final lap, I'm sure. And before we close out the season then, Nick, any final word, any summarising thoughts?
You know, it's been a great time, and I hope that we see all these guys back for more. Namely, on the 7th of August, we're going to be doing a 2.4 hour at the Nürburgring.
Indeed, I'm sure we'll be seeing many of those guys here for that race. It'll be a joy to commentate, it must be said. I can't wait for it. That's right, the regular season may have ended, but there will be more to come over the coming weeks and days, and everybody's fighting for every position right down to the last moment. It's been an incredibly successful Atlantic Sim Racing League for the first season. Nate Campbell has been the man to dominate it. And after 10 weeks of competition and plenty of races, it's going to be Nate Campbell who will finish off this first inaugural season of the Atlantic Sim Racing League. Its goal was to bring sim racing to the Canadian Maritimes. Newfoundland very much found a home in this league. Nate Campbell is going to come through the bus stop for the final time. There's a reason he's the champion. There's a reason this league has been so brilliant. Nate Campbell wins the season finale at Spa-Francorchamps. The headlights are ablaze, and the emotions will rise. He is the champion of the first ever season of the Atlantic Sim Racing League. Quentin Carpenter will take P2 on his first ever round of the championship. A brilliant, brilliant win for him. It won't be the win, but it'll be a podium for him and for Mike Postma. So two debutants on the podium in the final round of the season. To win in GR86, it will be Tristan Keeping, who takes the checker flag by over a second from Mitchell Parker and Blaine Tompkins. Jacob Durden, the Canada car, the spiritual representation of what this league can do and what this league is about, will record his best ever finish in the final round. It has not been the easiest season for him, but he will do it nevertheless. Tyler Richard, Nick, you said at the start of the broadcast we could see him coming through the field. He's come up to P6 and will take one more final lap in the Hot Wheels livery that's become so accustomed to in this season. Tristan Richard, a race winner last week. It wasn't to be in terms of the final round at Spa, but the sun will set on the season. The sun will set at Spa, and Tristan Richard then with a P8 finish, a respectable considering the circumstances. But as he drives round the rest of the first lap, Nate Campbell, we've got you in the car at the moment. What are your thoughts as now being the champion of the Atlantic Sim Racing League?
Not too bad. It's not too bad.
You're selling it short, mate. It's been absolutely brilliant work all season. Are we going to see some burnouts? Come on, do some burnouts to put on for us, please.
Gonna have to wait to the final quarter.
Yes, do it at the bus. Yes, yes. Okay, there we go. This is your victory lap after all. This whole race was really a victory lap. You're already confirmed to be champion. But I mean, what
It
I would
wasn't a
say,
simple race.
I was just that was my next question. You stole it out of my mouth. It was a very, very unusual race in the sense that you didn't just romp off into the distance. Was it more fun for having more competition?
It was a lot of fun. I wished it could have been like that whole race, but it was also nice not to be so stressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
having
saw
all
some really great battles there.
absolutely.
I was surprised nobody crashed up front. It was close.
It was close and it was clean and it was brilliant stuff to watch. A brilliant final race of the season. What was it like racing in the sparse sunset as well? Did the sun get in your eyes at any point?
The sun was below the horizon, so it wasn't too bad. But it was nice. It was a nice golden hour.
Yeah.
We had mentioned that earlier. It was a photographer's dream, truly. And here is our dream, the victory burnouts.
Indeed.
I hope they're good.
They're brilliant, mate. They're always brilliant. You know how to do it. You've had the practice all season. I guess the question we've got really, that 2.4 hour Nürburgring race, firstly, will you be there? And secondly, are you going to be continuing using this BMW, or are you going to perhaps switch it up and give us a new iconic livery, or is it very much the BMW is your happy place?
It's gonna be a yes and yes. It's gonna stick with the Beamer. Can't go wrong with it.
Exactly.
It served me well. It served me well.
Oh, it served you brilliantly. It's been an iconic combination. We'll go down in the history books that we have. Oh, I love this. Using the endurance pits. Brilliant. I love it. There you go. Found a way to sneak into it. I'm sure that the stewards will have a word to say about it, but also they won't because they're virtual and you're Nate Campbell, so you've got a free pass to do whatever you want.
Exactly. Free reign.
There we go.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you for
And
coming
thank you for
out.
being a part of this league and spearheading it from the start.
Anytime. Thank you.
So that concludes round 10 of the Atlantic Sim Racing Summer Series.
Absolutely. And all really that's left for us to do is to sign off. So well, actually, we have got a couple of people in the booth who've joined for interviews. If you want, we've got a whole host in here. We've got Mitchell Parker and Jeremy Mazzaroli, the GR86 runners. How was that out there, guys?
A little bit spicy at times, but lots of fun.
Yeah, it was always good with the faster cars approaching. It's always a good time.
Yeah. How did you navigate the traffic, by the way? Did it ever get intimidating at all to have those GT3s be so close all the way through?
It wasn't terrible. They were pretty respectful of this race, so gave us a little bit of time to get the heck out of their way, and that's all you can hope for, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got taken out, but it happens, right?
Yeah. We also have Cameron French in here. we loved what you were doing out there with the Lamborghini, coming back here and really taking the fight to Nate Campbell. That gap would come down at some points, but what happened at the end there? You finished P4.
Yeah, I had a spin at Puon, which yeah, it happened to me a few times in practice, so wasn't a surprise. But yeah, it's all good. Stuff happens.
Well, it's
It
your
was a good
best
fight.
finish in the league in the final round of the season, so surely you're still happy with that. And the way you conducted yourself through the race was really good. We really enjoyed the battle that you were basically involved in the whole way through the race.
Yeah, it was nice to finally keep up with Nate. Feels like I've been pretty far off of him the whole season.
That
So-
overtake at the very beginning, that was just perfect. We loved seeing that, and I'm sure
Yeah.
everyone in the chat did as well.
Yeah, that was a nice one. I think Nate played it pretty easy, but I'm sure it looked nice.
Yeah. We also in here have here to explain the Pokemon lore behind these brilliant liveries, Mason McDonald. What was the rationale behind Charizard this week?
Well, it was a night race, you know, so I needed some flames. I needed to keep myself bright, even though I was, of course, cringed with pit stops. I don't know what it is. I do not know how to do a pit stop. I got a black flag. I was running a pretty good race, but I don't. The logistics of this is hard for me to understand, but I'll get there. So season 2's upcoming. So happy, and I got to give a shout out to Mike Posma. He's made every single Pokemon livery I have, so I can't take credit for that. I give him all the credit. But yeah, Charmander was on my side this week for keeping me bright.
That
We
is
love to hear it,
truly
man.
awesome. Yeah, we've mentioned it almost every week here. We love these Pokimane liveries, and that's
It's-
exciting to hear that Mike Postma has been a big help there.
I'll say this before I shush, because I know there's a lot of other drivers want to hear from, but I'll tell you, Mike is my mentor for sim driving. He's unreal. He's very creative, all his liveries, and he's great. As you can see, he jumped in a GT3 car and did awesome. So big shout out to him. And I want to give a big thank you to not only you guys, but everyone in the series. It's been so fun, and it's been a fantastic night to end the series.
That's really awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man. And we hope to see you back for next season with the Pokemon liveries. Well, we've got at the moment we've got Cameron in here, we've got Mason in here, and well, I guess should we leave it to Nick to do the sign-offs?
Yeah, are we all done with our interviews here?
I think so.
I think so. Okay.
I think
Well, thank you very much, all of you, for coming out. We've really enjoyed putting on this season, and we will definitely be back. So hit that subscribe button. Let's get to 100 subscribers here. Only 4 away, and we'll have a great next season. We're gonna run some special events here through August, to keep things exciting and change it up a little bit, and then we'll be right back to our GT3 Multiclass. So we're super excited for all the drivers and all you viewers to be here. And of course, a huge thank you to everyone who helps me out behind the scenes, Thomas included. You've done an incredible job this season, and everyone in the pit crew who really helps make the Atlantic Sim Racing League go. But that's all I have for tonight. So we will see you back in 2 weeks on August 7th for 2.4 hours of Nürburgring. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you later. Attention to